All right, here we
Man,
are.
that was great.
Hey, do we know how to have fun, or do we know how to have
That
fun?
was great. I was dancing the whole time.
I know. So was I. Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. Today is August 25th, 2023. And if there's one thing that Adam Sud and I love, it's an incredible t-shirt.
That's right. That's right.
And so what I want y'all to do is I want you to chime in. Let us know in the comments section where you're tuning in from and if you have a favorite t-shirt. Now, Adam,
Yeah.
you have a favorite t-shirt?
I do. It's an amazing t-shirt. It's like a charcoal color. It's got the letter 2 on it. I think you might be wearing it right now.
So let me give a little history on this. So this is definitely one of my favorite t-shirts. It's got the V-neck, which I love.
Yeah.
It's got kind of the back when, the brand was Engine 2. This is kind of the Superman 2 inside the Superman logo.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And I somehow or another, I had 3. I lost all of them.
Yeah.
And Adam was kind enough to give me this one of the few that he had. And so he and I have made some very, 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 very important and crucial t-shirt exchanges.
Yeah.
When he got married not too long ago, I gave him my precious, my pride and joy, my Kale t-shirt that Kale like Coca-Cola. You remember?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That I still have that. And that's one of the that was probably my second favorite shirt of all time. I just love it. I love like how it's such a conversation starter, because it says enjoy Kale instead of enjoy Coca-Cola. And so everyone's like, oh, wait, tell me about this, because it's such a great shirt. You know who else wears that one all the time is my buddy, and I believe you know him, is Dr. Matthew Nagra.
Oh, yeah.
He has one from way back, and he wears it all the time.
Yeah. So everybody, Adam and I go way back. I love this man. I love our friendship, and I love what you have done and made with your life, Adam. It is so absolutely spectacular to see how far you've come in really such a short period of time. Yeah. And so I want to talk a little bit about that. For those of you that, don't know who Adam is, I want you to know he's been on the Plant Strong podcast 3 times. He's tied a record there. It's kind of like he's one of those Saturday Night Live guests that, he's going for 5 here. Going for 5.
Love it.
But Adam, before we get into like the nitty gritty of kind of your journey and some really, I think, valuable insights that you can give our audience.
Sure.
I would love if you could just, on a lighter note, tell me, what did you do this summer? And did you?
Yeah, I had a great summer. So you guys know, Rip and I, we both live in Austin, Texas. And I don't know if you're near Austin, Texas or whatever, but the average temperature here this summer has been about 105. So not great. My wife and I spent the last almost 8 weeks in northern Wyoming, right at the base of the Bighorn Mountains. Phenomenal. Her family has a home up there. And, Rip and I share another passion besides t-shirts, and that's pickleball.
Oh, yeah.
I was a little nervous because northern Wyoming, small little town, population in this town is 700 people. And I'm like, gosh, am I going to have to drive an hour in order to play pickleball in like some other town? Funny enough, this town is radical about pickleball. I was playing 6 hours a week. There were times when I had to wait on a court. There were people from other towns coming to this town to play because the courts were so nice. I had an amazing time. So I spent it in nature, in pickleball, and just really slowing down. My wife and I were able to get up and we drink coffee on the deck and look at the mountains and no traffic noise, and it was fantastic.
What was the level of pickleball there?
So, look, Rip, you and I are very competitive pickleballers. We play in a very competitive group of people. So it was a little bit mixed, really great games. You could get a really good game going, but it was a lot more of just playing for fun.
Yeah. And will you just let everybody know very briefly, you got married
Yeah.
recently to
December.
a wonderful woman. And how, what is your assessment so far of marriage, and how has that worked for you?
So I'll tell you this, I know a few things for certain about me. Number one, I know I'm born to be a dad. I'm not a dad yet, but I'm born to be a dad. Number two is I've known for a long time that I want to be a husband to someone, but I didn't know that what I really wanted was to be a husband to her. I love it. My favorite place to be is anywhere with her. And I love the opportunity to take care of her, like whatever she needs. Like I absolutely love it. It's been fantastic. It's just been the best.
And does she take care of you?
She does. She's great. Rip, you know me. You put me in the kitchen and it's going to be miserable. And she loves making amazing dinners for me, and she's the best. She's incredible. We have the most incredible relationship. I've never been happier in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know who I see tuning in is Tim Kaufman, Fat Man Rants.
Oh yeah, Tim is the man.
Oh yeah, Tim baby.
Yeah.
So Adam,
Yeah.
we're gonna get serious here for a second,
Sure.
okay?
Yeah.
So if I'm not mistaken, you tried taking your life August 21st of 2012. Does that sound about right?
That's correct. Yeah.
And what, in your opinion, or what have you figured out is what actually is suicide?
Yeah. This is a really great question. And for anyone out there who knows someone who may be struggling with a mental health issue, or you yourself, I just want you to know you're not alone. I also want you to know that you're not broken, that you make sense. What you struggle with makes sense. You may not be able to make sense of it right now, but it does make sense, and there's a solution out there. And the suicide hotline is 988. If you feel like you need to make that call, just make that call. Suicide there's a lot of ideas out there. A lot of people think it's selfish. A lot of people believe that what suicide is someone trying to end their life, and neither of these are accurate. What suicide is someone wanting to end their pain. That's what it is. It's a pain that's gotten away from them. It's gotten out of control. They're ashamed of it. Usually why they're so ashamed of it is because a lot of times it's wrapped in some kind of societal stigma, where they believe that as a result of having a struggle like this, they are a broken person. There's something wrong with them. And every single day that they spend in their life is becoming the worst day they've ever had. And they're living with the confidence that tomorrow is always going to be worse. And so eventually they just can't handle that anymore. And what they want to do is they just want that experience to be over. They don't want their life to be over. If they could solve their problems, if someone wants to come by and say, hey, I can take care of this for you today, they would grab a hold of that thing like dear life. It would.
Yeah.
So for that person who, I know that's the experience that I had, because when I woke up on the floor after my intentional overdose and I realized what had taken place, oh my gosh, relief is an insult to the feeling that I had. And I want you to know the reason why I was relieved was because there was something about my life that I loved enough that I was relieved to still be a part of this world. Mm-hmm. That's important. And for that perspective of selfish, that, anyone who tries to end their life, that's a selfish act. Well, that is an arrogant response, because what's taking place is they're looking at this person and they're saying something like this. Well, I know what the worst day of my life felt like, and I never considered ending it. How selfish must you be to end your life because you've had a hard day? That is a very inaccurate look at the situation. What was a much more appropriate way to look at it is go, wow, I've had really hard days in my life. I remember the worst day of my life, and I never considered ending my life. How hard must their life be? Why would that action to them make so much sense? That's a much more appropriate question to ask, because then we level the playing field. We say, why, if I felt like they do, why would I likely have the same thought? That's really where we need to go.
Mm-hmm. Can you talk about the the pain that you personally were experiencing?
Yeah. So, by the time I was 30 years old, I weighed nearly 350 pounds. I didn't know it at the time because I wouldn't be diagnosed until I was in rehab. But I had undiagnosed type 2 diabetes. I had high blood pressure. I had high cholesterol. I knew I had erectile dysfunction, but it hadn't really been diagnosed or anything like that. And I've been struggling with severe substance use disorder for the better part of 10 years. I grew up in a family where, to the best of their abilities, my parents would make very hypercritical comments about my weight, about the way that I looked. And so being in the presence of my parents didn't always feel like a safe place to be. My body, because I was gaining weight, I didn't understand it. So a lot of times being in my body didn't feel like a safe or hopeful place to be. I would go to school and I would experience extreme bullying. So being in school didn't feel like a safe or hopeful place to be. And when I discovered stimulants, that was my drug of choice, I remember using for the first time. And what took place was I felt immense relief. Because what had just taken place was it seemed like I was able to finally solve some of these overwhelming problems. The drug that I was using is a prescription medication called Adderall. And by giving it to the kids that were bullying me, I was now not getting beat up at school anymore. All right, that's very attractive. It's fantastic. It felt great. I also experienced unbelievable confidence when I was on Adderall. Unbelievable confidence. I'd never felt like this before. It was amazing. I felt good about myself. Not only did I feel good about myself today, somehow it seemed like tomorrow felt like a hopeful place to be. Maybe tomorrow's gonna be even better than today. Wow, that's fantastic. Never felt like that. I haven't felt like that in a while. Wow. I was able to lose weight because it's an amphetamine. I was able to study at home in a way that made my parents proud. So what you have to take into account is, from a subjective point of view, my use was misguided self-care. And that's what addiction is. Addiction is misguided self-care. What's taken place is someone has introduced into this individual's environment a supernormal stimulus that relieves them of a feeling of failure today, and somehow, because of the extreme dopamine lift, makes them feel like they don't know how, they don't know why, but all of a sudden, wow, I think I just may have made tomorrow a safe place to be. Seems like I've cared for my future somehow. That's a very confusing experience because nothing else has done that. And so it looks and feels exactly like self-care. It's misguided, but it is self-care. And so I bonded with it. I bonded with that behavior. And unfortunately, it got out of control, as it usually does. So by the time I was 30 years old, I had erectile dysfunction, undiagnosed diabetes. I was 350 pounds. And every meaningful and loving bond in my life that gave me the experience that life was a place I wanted to show up and be present for was severed. And yeah.
Adam, tell me this. So your handle on Instagram is plant-based addict.
It is, yeah.
Do you feel one of the reasons that you've been so successful in turning your life around, turning your health around, is because you have that addictive nature and you've applied that addiction to your diet with plants?
Well, I don't think I have any more of an addictive nature than anyone else. I think what I've done is I've taken this idea of what an addict is, and I've applied a positive handle to it, right? Because I don't want people to think that addiction is something that's wrong with you,
Right?
What's going on is addiction is not biology and psychology gone wrong. It's actually biology and psychology gone right in an environment and a life that's gone wrong. That's what's taking place.
Yeah.
And that's what's taking place every single time. And so my same addict that I was, right, is now responding exactly as I was, only the environment and the life is completely different.
Yeah.
Life and the environment looks like the life I want to live. And I am that quote unquote addict, addicted to this life, just like I was before. It's not an indication of failure or psychology gone wrong. Otherwise, plant-based addict would never exist.
Well, last week on our Facebook Friday Live, I had Dr. Doug Lyle, who you know incredibly well, and his Pleasure Trap book was very important on your journey.
Yeah.
But we talked a little bit about you last Friday, and the brilliant statement that you made, which is make your environment look like your goals. And
right.
he just was like, that was just pure brilliance on your
Yeah.
part.
Yeah. Yeah. Everyone, I think this is really important. What we have to understand is, why does it make sense? Why does our behavior right now make so much sense? That question means that if we were to make sense of why we do what we do, then there's nothing inherently wrong with who you are. That there are real, appropriate, and accurate changes you can make to your priorities, your values, and your physical environment that will change the trajectory of your behavior from one direction to another, right? And so for me, I could spend every day of my life trying to outcompete the environment that I find myself in order to try and make good enough decisions to change my life. And that would be an exhausting way to live. It would be frustrating. I'd probably resent the hell out of it. Or
Yeah.
I could make my environment look exactly like the life I want to live and spend zero time out competing it.
Give me,
The environment could encourage the behavior rather than the other way around.
I love this. I think this is absolutely like monumental stuff. But tell me, how do you make your environment look like your goals
Yeah.
today? Like, can you
Yeah.
give us some examples?
Sure. So number one, you have to be very clear. You have to get very clear. What is the life that you want? If you could wave a magic wand right now and make your life look any way you wanted it, what would be different and what would be the same? Right? How do you want your life to actually look? And if you were going to change some things, what would you actively replace them with? Because we're not trying to avoid things. We're trying to make very specific and appropriate choices, right? You're not avoiding meat, eggs, and dairy on the plant-based diet. You're choosing plants exclusively. That's what you're doing. That's really important. So if that's the case, your environment has to look like those values. So for me, if you were to come into my kitchen, oh my gosh, you'd see how conveniently it is designed to encourage eating a very, very healthy plant-based diet, right? I've got canned beans, right? Because look, while soaking beans and pressure cooking them might taste better, and they do, I'm not going to do that 100% of the time. I might do that on the weekends, but on a Monday through Friday when I've got work, I just want to strain them, put them in a mason jar, and then pour them on my salad. I have pre-cut chopped lettuces, greens that I could just make big salads and burrito bowls with, right? I've got, I've prepped potatoes and brown rice for 4 days at a time. When I come into my kitchen, I spend very little time actually cooking. I'm assembling, as my wife says, if you ever watch Adam eat, he basically just assembles calories on a plate. That's really what I do. I go in, I've already got the foods I love. I put them on my plate. I find some kind of way to spice it and season it that's interesting of the day, and I get on with my day, right? I'm very clear. If I was to do this well, how could I do it with as little time and as little energy as possible? Because remember, like with what Doug Lisle talks about, the pleasure trap, every instinct in you is trying to figure out how to get the most for the least. If your new habits require more time and energy than your old ones, you're going to go back to your old ones more often than you want. That's just true.
Ooh, I like that. Can you say that one more time?
If your new habits require more time and energy than your old ones, you're going to go back to your old ones more often than you want.
Yeah.
And it won't be because you don't want your new habits. It will be because your environment is designed to encourage the old ones. That's why.
Well, so another thing that you have done, really, I think in the last maybe 2.5 years, I could be wrong, is you're hitting the gym. You are like, you're getting pumped. You're getting shredded. You're loving your new body.
I do, yeah.
What do you do to make that convenient and easy and something you're psyched to do, along with pickleball?
Yeah. So number one, anything you do has to be attractive, right? It's got to be something like, you got to be enthusiastic about it enough. You got to be excited about it enough. And so one of the things I really got into when I was deciding to get into the gym was not like, what I want to do is I want to finally bench press 200 pounds or, put in all these kind of standards on it, but rather be like, okay, if I was to figure this thing out, how could I figure out the way to get strong the best way possible? Like creating this kind of like, I'm an investigator. Like I'm so excited to find out what works and what doesn't work, right? Where every single day you go into the gym, I'm just trying to figure out, I've always had these kind of limitations I put on myself when I was younger, growing up. When you're 300 pounds, there's a lot to life you just don't get to say yes to. Your body doesn't allow you the permission to say yes to it. And one of those is to go in the gym and feel feel excited about it. I wanted to feel excited about it. And so I wanted to say, what? All right. I had these barriers that said, I'll probably never be able to bench press 200 pounds. Well, my goal is just to say, like, what if that's BS? What if I just spend the next year doing really, really appropriate, interesting work where I figure this thing out and maybe I could prove myself wrong? I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see there's these, I call it my bullshit list, these things on this list that I get to cross off. And once you cross one of them off, you get really excited because now everything else has to be considered something you get to cross off at some point in your life. So number one, I build it into my schedule, right? I get excited about doing the work, about loving just being in movement. Mm-hmm. I think loving your body is mostly loving what it can do for you on a daily basis, more so than what it looks like. So if I can get up and my body's like, yeah, let's go. It's leg day. Let's get it done. Let's have fun. Like, let's love it even when it's hard. My favorite quote, one of my favorite quotes about discipline comes from Mike Tyson, no other than Mike Tyson. He said, discipline is sometimes doing what you don't want to do, but doing it as if you love it.
Oh.
And when I wake up and I'm like, I don't know if I want to go today, then I get to go, oh, but what if I did it like I love it today? What would that mean for me?
Let me ask you this, though, because I find there's a big difference between finding the motivation to get yourself up and out the door.
Yeah.
If you're doing something solo.
Yeah.
As opposed to doing something because you're going to let people down if you don't show up because you're the fourth person in that pickleball, or I'm the third or fourth person in my swim lane, and we all
sure.
Yeah.
So it's easy to be a martyr for yourself. Of course it is. Like, oh well, I'll just go tomorrow. My point is, one of the things I tell myself is, like, let's just lower the barrier to entry here, right? If your goal is to go to the gym every day, then just go to the gym. Just go and be like, I get to stay here for 10 minutes. And if after 10 minutes I don't want to be here, I can leave. On days when I don't want to go, I just tell myself, just go to the gym, 10 minutes away. If after 10 minutes you still don't want to be there, you can go home. But just give yourself permission to at least be in the environment where change or the opportunity to act in alignment with your values is possible, right? It's always going to be a no if I stay at home. But if I just go there, right? And I find myself in the gym, just go get on the treadmill for 10 minutes. And if after that you don't want to lift at all, go home.
Yeah.
I find that to be very, very empowering for me. It's like, I tell myself, willpower is a finite resource. I have about 2 hours of it a week. And there's never going to be a time when I want to do the dishes. There's never going to be a time when I want to fold the laundry, right? So what I do is I say, all right, let's just fold laundry for 10 minutes. And at the end of those 10 minutes, if it's not done, I can quit, right? Just find a way to easily be in action, right? So that's what I like to do.
That's all really, really great stuff. Let me ask you this, and everybody, I don't want to hog the questions in the conversation here. So please feel free, if you have any questions for Adam, throw them in the comment section, and we'll do our best to get to them. So let me ask you this, Adam. You've been doing this for how long would you say you've been Plant Strong?
I've been Plant Strong for nearly 11 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So based upon your experience, I also want people to know that you have been a health coach for people, a nutrition and behavioral coach for people. You spent several years with Whole Food Market stores, helping people.
Yeah.
Are you a fan of plant exclusive or plant predominant?
So I'm a fan of change. So I am. And you know what? Here's the thing. We don't need another 1,000 perfect vegans on the planet. We need every person in America eating 80% or more of their calories coming from whole plant foods. If we did that, we'd see such a dramatic shift in the environment. We'd see such a dramatic shift in people's health that it would probably motivate them to eat less meat afterwards. Mm-hmm. When I work with someone, if I'm coaching them for behavior change or for, let's say, diabetes reversal, I find out where they are right now. And how much meat, eggs, and dairy are you currently consuming? And my goal is not to get you to be me tomorrow. My goal is to get you from 0 to any other number. That number could be 1, and that's great. So we figure out what's the right first moves to make, and we get them to a point to where they're eating at least 90% of their calories from plants, and then let them live there for long enough. And if they'll probably be motivated to go to 100, unless they want to go to 100% right now. I think everybody on the planet should be eating plant predominant. I think most people are going to do really well when they eat plant exclusive.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And would you say that there's any data to show that one is better than the other?
So I haven't seen any data to suggest that one is any better than the other, but I don't like creating a competition between the two. There actually was a phenomenal study that came out of China. I was talking with David Goldman about this, where there's a monk study where they had them on plant exclusive diets, and just like an addition of like 3% of their calories changed to animal protein, and there was some significant risks that occurred as a result of it. I don't know the name of the study, so sorry I can't cite that for people. But here's what we know. This isn't the dress rehearsal for life, right? This is the real deal, right? You don't get to play around with your heart health. You know, do you want to have a sense that this body that you have right now in 10, 15, 20, 30 years is going to be a safe place to be? Do you want that experience? Do you want to have a sense that in 20 years, when you wake up and you get out of bed, your body feels like a hopeful place to be? If that's your goal, and I believe that's most people's goal, the greater you get to plant exclusive, the better off you're going to be. I don't know anybody who has adopted a plant strong lifestyle who has regretted that decision. I don't know anybody that's done that whatsoever. We know that there was a burden of proof study that was done on red meat consumption. And at a certain point, the risk is just too great. You just don't want to do it. Like, why would you want to calculate your risk? Like, I mean, if you don't have to.
Yeah. Well, and I think that for people that for whatever reason it didn't work for them, they probably weren't executing appropriately either.
Well, that, and there's some data to suggest that as a result of long-term antibiotic exposure to the microbiome, that microbiomes are so drastically compromised that immediately going plant exclusive is a very difficult thing to do. But that doesn't mean they can't get to a plant exclusive lifestyle. It just might mean that their journey is a little bit longer, and maybe for that individual, they tried going too fast, too quickly.
So at our last live retreat that was outside of Asheville, North Carolina, in Black Mountain, we had a whale of a time. We just,
oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But you met David Goldman, who was the chief scientific advisor for the Game Changers. He's become obviously a very, very good friend, and he loves reading research papers and looking.
Me and I are co-authoring a paper together right now.
And studies. And you have finally found somebody that you can totally like geek out over with all these studies.
I know. I told my wife I met my man crush. Because like legitimately, the dude he's a plant exclusive eater. He works out like crazy. He reads research studies for fun. He goes to bed at 8 p.m. I mean, it's like this dude is literally me. Like,
he's a dad. He's a dad.
Yeah, I know. It's amazing. It's amazing. And he's one of those brilliant minds where he can just pull research data out, you know, on the snap of a finger. It's a lot of fun to be around him.
Yeah. So speaking of which, in about a month and a half, you and I get to spend a week together with about 85 other participants outside of Sedona, Arizona, up in the Red Rock Mountains.
It's amazing. Yeah.
And would you mind just sharing with people, like, give them your little elevator pitch for why if you're considering joining us, why you should pull the trigger?
So I'll tell you what, if you're considering joining and you're on the fence of it, but you have the means to do it and you're considering doing it, look, you want to be given the evidence that you have the opportunity to change your life and your health for the rest of your life. You'll get it at Plant Strong Retreat. The reason why is we take great care to accurately design an environment where you have no opportunity but to see what your body is capable of. you have no opportunity but to see what your health is capable of. You come spend 6 days with us, and you're gonna get a sense of what you might be able to do with your health and with your life. And once you get a sense of it, you're going to finally feel the motivation. Because right now, hopefully Rip and I can inspire you to come. But you got to do these 6 days with us, and at the end of those 6 days, you're going to get a sense, and that sense is going to motivate the hell out of you to just keep doing this thing for 2 weeks at a time. Just keep running these experiments and see how far you can go. I'm telling you. And of our retreats, we do one in Asheville and we do one in Sedona. Sedona is the best. Sedona is magic, and I'm serious. We are in the middle of the Red Rocks, as Rip mentioned. We are 10, 15 miles away from anything that resembles the real world. We have this place to ourselves. It is a sacred experience. You're going to be in an environment that in and of itself is kind of magical. All these Sedona vortices and everything. And you're surrounded with people who are all trying to seek the same solution that you're looking for. That's a powerful experience, the bonding experience. Rip and I have never been to a retreat where at the end of the 6 days, we met anyone who was ready to leave. I swear, this is the exact retreat that I went to when my life was at my worst. And everything that I learned at this retreat are the things that I used to go from the worst experience of life I've ever had to the greatest and most excited about life I've ever been. This is it. I'm telling you, you will never regret this.
And if any of you want to make this leap with us, you can use the code Adam150 and you'll get $150 off.
Yeah.
Adam, let me ask you this. So on your journey, who was your greatest ally in your life?
My body. So I grew up believing that my body was my adversary. I've been convinced that I had been dealt a poor genetic hand, that I was an overweight person. And so the only real way to live my life was to overexert, to restrict calories, to punish myself, and hopefully win a battle on a scale. But I'm going to tell you that one of the greatest things that come out of surviving suicide was the knowledge that my body in that moment just decided you can literally flood your body with enough drugs to overdose and we will not let you die. My body has been fighting for me since the day I was born. It has been everything. Every instinct in my body is to keep me alive, to help me to thrive. I have the greatest ally that I've ever had in my life with me every single day of my life. What that means is when I get up, my choices on what I choose to eat and how I choose to move are an act of service. They're an act of caretaking for a body whose entire purpose for existing is to make sure you make it to tomorrow. That's an incredible thing. If you can just ditch the idea that you need to avoid bad things, you need to avoid meat, eggs, and dairy and saturated fats and oils. And what you really need to do is you need to choose things that care for a body that wants you to do really, really well. If you believe your body is a problem, it's because somebody or something convinced you and you believed it. It's not true. It is completely inaccurate. And so, come to this 6-day retreat, watch what your body wants you to do. Just get a sense. I'm telling you, you have no idea. I never imagined this. I thought, man, you know what? If I could lose like 50 pounds, that'd be great. If I could get under 300 pounds, that'd be great. If my life could just be tolerable, that would be great. If it wasn't so overwhelmingly painful, that would be great. I never in my wildest dreams imagined what was ahead of me. I cannot believe, I say this all the time when I share my story.
Yeah.
I cannot believe I almost ended my life before the best part of it even began. I mean,
I know. And I look at where you are right now. And the thing is, I think it's just going to continue to get better. That's just the crazy, exciting thing about it.
Yeah, 100%. But you got to come to Sedona. I'll be there. I'll be speaking. I give 2 lectures. Doug Lyle is going to be there. He gives about 3 lectures, all of which are like 9 lectures worth of value. Rip is obviously going to be there. Jane is going to be there. We got
Dr. Clapper.
And it's Elizabeth Winings. We got everybody.
Yeah, yeah. And then, of course, we have the endless buffets of food. We've got the night sky, stargazing, pickleball. We've got ghost stories, bonfires.
Oh yeah.
We've got game show night. We're gonna
Jeopardy.
be Jeopardy. We're gonna be making pancakes.
Oh yeah.
Pancakes with the new pancake and waffle mixes with dark chocolate chips inside.
Plus, you get to hike in the Sedona Red Rocks.
Oh my God!
Every day you get to go for these gorgeous hikes as the sun is rising, and you see the
hot
fire balloons coming up.
I know. It
amazing.
is endless. It's endless. Hey, you know what? Let me just Addie wants to know, what's your age, Adam?
Yeah, so I am 41 years old, believe it or not. I've been living a plant-exclusive lifestyle for 11 years. I will have 11 years of recovery on September 9th. So I'm really looking forward to that. It's amazing. It's coming to a really interesting point in my life where I've now been this person as long as I was, maybe even longer than I was in my drug addiction.
Wow.
So that's really quite a remarkable thing to get to the point where it's like, this is the majority of my life now.
You recently have done I think some posts where you talk about caffeine and coffee. And so you're drinking some coffee. I think it's based upon some stuff from Dan Buettner and in the Blue Zones. But so you're not, I mean, you're okay with coffee, right?
Coffee, I'm 100% okay with coffee. Here's the thing, like everything, context matters, right? Number one, coffee has been linked to.
Look at that. They think that you look like a 20-year-old.
That's great.
They're saying you got the baby face.
I love it. I love it.
You're so
cute. So coffee, there's actually some really great cognitive benefits to coffee. They've actually shown that it's quite a preventative for Parkinson's. They've shown that people who consume black coffee, 1 cup of black coffee a day is linked to longevity within the Blue Zones. The one issue with coffee is just, in our culture, we drink it all day long. And this disrupts our sleep cycle. And disrupted sleep cycle is a really big health concern. So I don't drink coffee after 11 a.m. I have my 1 cup of coffee at 7 a.m. and then I go out and play pickleball, and then I don't have any more coffee. So yeah. And also, I'm now drinking a brand, actually Robbie and Cyrus. They have Cyrus has a company called Amla Green, which is an amla powder, which amla is the most antioxidant-rich food on the planet, and they have a coffee with it in it. And so they sent me that, so I'm drinking that now.
I mean, just for people that are listening, I don't touch coffee. Caffeine.
That's a good idea, Rip, because you got more energy than like 10 men. So.
But I just I've never liked the taste, and my point is, if you're not drinking coffee now, I don't feel like you need to like all of a sudden.
You don't need to. My thing is you don't need to worry if you are. We want to stop adding unnecessary things to coffee. You get the dairy out, get the cream out, get the sugar out, get all that stuff. If you're gonna have coffee, you want to have it black or with maybe like a little pinch of soy milk. You just want 1 a day, and that's it.
I will have a caveat on that, and maybe you could pull up the research, Adam, with David Goldman. But my father, Essie, is not a fan of caffeine because of what it can do to the endothelial cells.
So what you'd have to do is you'd have to show amongst coffee drinkers that actually that mechanism of endothelial disruption actually leads to outcomes. So when we look at caffeine as a vasorestrictor, right? It's a short term. It's a very, very short term mechanism. So it doesn't actually impair cardiovascular health outcomes. You'd also have to show that coffee drinking 1 a day and combined with a healthy dietary pattern is a risk.
Right.
Okay. I'm a big fan of context.
Good info. Thank you. Yeah. You have a trick for avoiding extra calories.
Yes, I do.
What is it? Because I'm sure there's some people that are listening that could that would love to hear that.
Listen, one of the number one reasons why people end up eating more calories than they want, this is just not the reason why, but it's one of the reasons why, is because people go into their kitchen to figure out what they want to eat. right? And so your kitchen is an environment that is incredibly attractive to the action of eating. Right? You're very close to foods. You know exactly where they are. You're going to get these little dopamine trips that say, oh, come this way, more calories over here. That's a good thing to do. If you really want to do this well, you should stop going into the kitchen to figure out what you want to make. You should only go into your kitchen after you've decided what you're going to make. That way you spend little time standing in there. Because I'm this person. If I'm in my kitchen figuring out what to eat, I'm grabbing something and I'm snacking while I'm figuring it out. And those are unplanned calories. And if you're an individual, like let's say if you're an athlete who's trying to gain, trying to cut or gain muscle, if you're a person who's trying to lose weight, your calories are currency, right? So you need to, if you're budgeting your calories, you know exactly what and when and how much you need to eat per day. The better opportunity for you is to just avoid unnecessary and unplanned snacking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny how much I'll go into the kitchen and I'll be making dinner. Like last night, I made quesadillas.
Yeah.
You guys look at my Instagram post.
Sweet potato ones?
What's that?
The sweet potato ones?
Yeah, sweet potato, black bean, spinach quesadillas. Love them. And I ended up, eating a tomato and eating a banana, and I was fine with it. But I'm just saying, I mean, it's a really good environment.
Good question here by Heather Anderson. Let's bring that one up.
Okay, you got it. Yeah.
Does Adam food prep to avoid grazing? Not anymore, but oh my gosh, did I in the beginning. So listen to this, folks. When I was in a sober living facility, this is like a halfway house. I would spend 10 months there. So I was in this house with like 12 other guys. I had my plant strong foods in the kitchen, but there was a lot of other stuff that was anything but plant strong in there, like Eggo waffles and Doritos and everything for these other guys. I sat down and I wrote a list. I tried to write a meal plan. And so for breakfast, I said, all right, oatmeal with fruit and cinnamon. Perfect. Lunch, I'm trying to remember, what did they serve at this Plant Strong retreat that I went to in 2010? What was there? Okay, rice and beans were a big deal. Rice and bean bowl with some frozen veggies that I'll heat up and some sauce. Great. Dinner. All right, potato with beans and sauce and some fruit for snacking. I wrote that out and I looked at the rest of the week. I was like, man, I got to think of like 15 more recipes. I can't do this. So I literally just drew a line from Monday all the way through the rest of the week with an arrow, and I just wrote above it, repeat. All right. What I had just done, I didn't know this at the time, was I made it nearly impossible for me not to know what to do. I made it nearly impossible for me not to do the healing thing. I had made it so simple and so obvious that it was always encouraging to do the right thing. I meal prepped the heck out of my first part of my journey. I didn't really count calories, but I knew exactly what I was going to eat, when I was going to eat, how long it would take me. Right? I made it really time efficient. I made a lot of stuff microwaved, right? So that I was in and out of the kitchen in 10 minutes. This is really important. Simplicity is a superpower in the beginning. If you are feeling like 10 recipes is tough, 20 is not going to make it easier. The reason why 10 recipes feel tough is likely because those recipes are too complicated. You need less ingredients and less time. Simplify it down to what you know tastes good enough. Use different sauces and just repeat the healing action.
Adam, that's terrific. Here's a great question, and I'd love to hear your answer to this one. So I'll just say it out loud. I heard that you started having the same meals, example, sweet potatoes. How did you get around not worrying or concerning yourself about getting the diversity for your gut microbiome? That wasn't even a thing back then, right?
Well, here's the other thing. It's like, great. I would love to heal my gut microbiome even more so than I was doing then. But the first most important thing is I have to figure out how I'm going to do this well. Yeah. Right? I've got the rest of my life to eat 20 plants a week if I want to. Right now, I need to make it so simple for my body to show me what it's capable of. Simplifying in the beginning is a phenomenal strategy to get yourself moving forward. If after you've got this done, you've lost the weight, you've got a bonded experience with a plant strong lifestyle, you now know the value that it holds for you, and you want to start adding variety, go ahead. But what we can't do is we can't make anything less than perfect a failure. We can't say, unless I can do a plant 40, which is 40 unique plants a week, unless I can do that every week, I shouldn't try. No. That's nonsense. You've got to figure out how, for you at this time, how's it easy to do the thing you need to do.
Adam, I would say that if there's anybody out there that is trying to figure this out and doesn't know where to start,
Yeah.
do what Adam did. Do oatmeal with fruit, do rice and beans, and then do a sweet potato bowl for dinner, and just repeat.
Trust me, your gut is gonna love it. All right, trust me.
Yeah,
it's gonna love it.
I mean, wasn't it John and Mary McDougall that they went on a potato diet? All they ate were potatoes for 30
Andrew
days.
Taylor did that.
Yeah, well, right. But he did it for what, 6 months?
A year.
A year, okay.
Yeah.
And fabulously healthy, right?
Yeah. I mean, look at the blue zones.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of variety in the Okinawan blue zone. 60% of their calories comes from sweet potatoes alone. All right. So this diversity thing is great because we have the opportunity to do it when it's easy to do it. But like, it's not this necessary thing for longevity.
Yeah. No, that is so important that, yeah. I mean, yeah, 30 was what they arrived at the American Gut Project. But listen, we want you to start and don't beat yourself up.
Yeah, no.
Adam, what is your favorite carbohydrate?
Oh my gosh. Okay, my favorite carbohydrate of all time is the Okinawan sweet potato. All right, that's my favorite. However, the one I eat the most is the Japanese sweet potato because they're easier to find. But the Okinawan, or also called the Hawaiian sweet potatoes, are very magical. They're white on the outside. They're bright purple on the inside. They're incredible. They're so delicious. But I love a Japanese sweet potato. Once you've gone to the Japanese sweet potato, that orange stuff, it's just rookie league.
What are the sweet potatoes that are like, they have a different texture and they're white?
That's the Japanese sweet potato. Yeah. So red on the outside, white on the inside. They're very starchy. If you bake one in the oven, a big one, and then you put it in the fridge, and you go into that fridge in the morning, that sweet potato fresh out of the fridge tastes like cake. It is incredible.
It's a cake potato.
Cake potato. Exactly.
All right. Adam, one of the things that we all love so much about you is how excited you get when you find something you love, whether it's a show, whether it's a new food, whether it's a book, right? Whatever it is, whether it's your wife, right? That you found. Tell me, what are you like most excited about right now when it comes to food? I can remember last year at Asheville, it was this new bagel you'd found and like Arctic ice cream.
Look at this, guys. Look at this. Come on.
Oh yeah. Look at that.
So my favorite, the thing I'm really obsessed with right now in terms of food is, oh gosh. Actually, right now, my favorite new thing I've added in my life is James Wilkes's protein powder, that Phyto protein. I really think it's great. But in terms of whole intact foods, I'm tempeh crazy right now.
Ooh.
I can't get enough of it, man. It's so good. I love it.
How do you like to prepare it?
So I actually buy it pre-prepared. Right?
Yeah.
So I get like the smoky barbecue flavored one.
Do you get what brand?
Light Life, I think is the brand. But there's also,
Upton's.
Upton's makes seitan, which I also really love. Huge fan of seitan. I have that every day. But I just love the texture, the bite, the feel of tempeh. I just love it. I love it so much more than tofu.
I love it too, but it has to be. I love it when it kind of falls apart and it's not really rock hard.
Right? No, yeah, exactly.
So that's my question. How do you steam it? What do you do to get it so it's light and fluffy?
Yeah, you gotta either steam it or you really gotta marinate the heck out of it. Like marinate it for 24 hours. So that it's really soaked in, and then when you cook it, you're really just releasing, you're oxidizing the marinade in it, and it's fantastic.
Okay, so food wise, it's tempeh, and it's the new Phyto the new Phyto protein powder. What about shows? What show are you into these days?
So listen, folks, I'm a Star Warrior for life. All right, and the brand new Star Wars series Ahsoka just started. I haven't watched it yet, but I am a huge Star Wars fan, and Ahsoka Tano is one of my favorite characters of all Star Wars, and this show is just dedicated to her. So I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah.
So have you watched in the past, like, did you watch The Mandalorian and stuff
Mandalorian is phenomenal.
Yeah.
Could not stand the Book of Boba Fett. I thought it was terrible. But the best Star Wars series on Disney is Andor. Best one. I mean, that might be the best of Star Wars.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to me because who's the director and writer of all this?
Dave Filoni.
Dave Filoni. I thought it was the
so Dave Filoni is the, but then what's his name?
John Favreau or whatever.
John Favreau did The Mandalorian. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All the other stuff is Filoni.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll have to check that out for sure. Adam?
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. I mean, am I going to see? I'm going to see you Sunday.
Definitely for pickleball.
Pickleball. You, me, John Mackey, and Hot Shot. That's my nickname for a shot.
Hot Shot. Yeah.
Hot Shot. But you know what? I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on our Facebook Friday Live and sharing all your little tips, your tips, tricks, and your story and your summer and pickleball and shows and food. It's awesome.
Seriously, for those of you who are watching or considering coming to Sedona, pull the trigger. I'm telling you. I'm not saying this because I feel like this is something to make sales. I have never in my life, and I speak at a lot of retreats. I speak at a lot of retreats. I have never been to a retreat like Plant Strong in my life. We have taken great care to design something that is truly special, where you immediately recognize. I think this actually has a lot to do with you, Rip. That Rip has an energy where he wants everyone to be family, and you make sure everyone knows that on day one. There's not a minute that goes by in this entire retreat where you feel like where you don't feel like you're in the presence of loved ones that want to care for you. And so people get vulnerable, people change like in a matter of days. The opportunity to really take stock of your life and how you want to move forward is truly special there. So please come.
Well, let me just piggyback on what you just said there, because I find that a lot of people, they come thinking it's just going to be about, kind of the food and the lifestyle. But what they realize is it's actually a deeper dive into taking stock at your life. Yeah. And what are some things that are working and aren't working? And we teach people without them even really realizing it, what it means to smile and laugh and have fun again. Play, which so many of us as adults have forgotten how to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the depth of the experience is something that is intangible and hard to quantify. But if you're interested, go to plantstrong.com, click on the menu, and just come down to Sedona.
And use the discount code Adam150. Get a discount.
Yeah.
All right,
Adam. I will see you
Sunday morning.
Everybody else, have a fantastic Plant Strong weekend, and we'll see you next Friday. And I don't know who the guest is going to be. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
All right.
Actually, I'm going to be flying to Cleveland. Maybe it could be Ann and Essie. All right, we'll see. All right, bye.
See ya.